April 2025, a milestone in the history of Homeopathy UK, we were honoured to have our patron, His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester, attend the launch of our new clinic in London.
Homeopathy has been known for many years in many parts of the world, and it isn't sufficiently recognised for all that it has achieved.
Our new London clinic is situated at the Feldy Centre in Poplar, London. Thank you to our patron, His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester, for attending and supporting Homeopathy UK.
Homeopathy UK leads the way in raising awareness and supporting practitioners. This clinic will be groundbreaking for homeopathy, as we intend to record data and conduct research right from the very beginning.
It's fantastic now to be able to support having a clinic in London that is open to everybody.
Together we continue to work towards integrating homeopathy into mainstream healthcare and advocating for sustainable, holistic and lifestyle medicine.
Each patient healed, each student taught, bears witness to the truth they sought. So forward now, with hearts renewed, their mission lives in what we do. The seeds they planted bloom today, as we walk on in Hahnemann's way.
It's been an incredible day, so now let's go and meet some experts in the field of homeopathy and see what they have to say.
So Caroline, how long have you been a homeopath?
I actually qualified in 2008, and I was interested in the science of it. I found it fascinating. But I was in the army at the time, and if you're a service person, whatever rank you are, they will pay a certain amount of money for you to get trained for when you leave the service.
Fantastic.
And as long as it's a bona fide course, they will pay. So actually I was fortunate. I got 4 years of subsidies to learn homeopathy. But I didn't understand about homeopathy. I just happened to go in a bookshop and find Voltukas's book on the science of homeopathy. Absolutely fascinating. Then I read the references. I thought, do you know, I'm going to see if there's a course.
Yes.
And that's what I did.
And it's fantastic, and it's changed
amazing.
Your world.
Yes, and what I didn't realise, there are a lot of service people, because people say, why are you going to this? But they do, they're people. And I found several people, actually. I think there was an RAF chap running a college in London, homeopathy. There are a lot of going into this sort of thing. So that was me.
And as we celebrate Homeopathy Awareness Week, there's so many hospitals, of course, that we know in the past have been open, but unfortunately have now closed. Yeah. Bristol Hospital. Do you feel that the closure of the hospitals is something that's going to be like it forever, or do you feel that hopefully we will have another homeopathic hospital?
I think we will. It won't be in the hospitals are changing anyway, so it'll be in a different form. I think people will have more choice. Yeah. You will see a different group of hospitals coming out. So it wouldn't surprise me if you didn't get a hospital which did major on homeopathy. Because
it's interesting, more people are actually asking for homeopathic treatments. Arnica, of course, is one that comes to mind. More people, we're seeing that more now. More celebrities are using Arnica. Do you feel that's going to encourage more people to actually try it and use it, even if they start with Arnica?
Oh, absolutely. And actually, more people asking where can they go and get help with for homeopathy. More people want to learn about it.
That's interesting.
Chatting about it. And I think actually a lot of it is also word of mouth. So this space here where you've got a cafe, where you've got meeting rooms, that's ideal. It is word of mouth. And some people, I go in a local social club and the guys there are always talking about their ailments. Oh, where did you see about, oh God. And all you have to do is get them talking and about homeopathy. So chatting over a beer or chatting over a coffee in a cafe. That is brilliant. So if we can go into more places like this and get people, grassroots talking, they will demand it.
And as you say, it's interesting you say, because people do courses, don't they? Especially, obviously, during lockdown, lots of people wanted things to do, so they signed up to courses. You know, we've got a course now at Homeopathy UK, which is for beginners, for people who know nothing about homeopathy, and it's become really popular. So do you feel, again, there's a need, there's a want for this, the young are actually thinking, well, what is this homeopathy? You know, what is it? How do we know about it?
Particularly since the last few years that we've experienced. During lockdowns, more people are asking and wanting to know, and it's sometimes quite difficult. They don't necessarily want to go online. They do want to meet people, and again, a space like this where maybe you can have a couple of hours introduction to homeopathy, come along, chat to people, and then once you get them interested, they will go on and want to do another course, be it a short, maybe a weekend course. There is really an interest there, and the more we can offer more choices to people to find out about it, maybe do a taster course and then sign up to a college. I mean, it'd be brilliant.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's just gaining people's interest.
It's getting them
interested in it. So is there any one thing you think that we could do to get their interest?
Having more space like this with a clinic, with somewhere for people to meet, to chat, to socialise. People have tried it, talking. It's getting people to talk about it in spaces where it's friendly. I mean, if you've been upstairs, it's so nice. People can sit and talk. I think that's it. It's having something like this.
Exactly.
And having the information there where you can say, well, actually, there's a college which does this, or did you know there was a short course happening on XYZ? I think that's the way. It's not necessarily a big splash of a way, but getting the word out there. And it will spread amongst communities.
Baby steps almost. Baby steps.
And it will spread. It will spread.
Thank you, Caroline, for talking to me. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So, Brian, you are a medical doctor and you are a fellow of the faculty, which is wonderful. And you've had many, many experiences of homeopathy, and you've been very vocal about homeopathy. So tell us a little bit about your background, Brian, and how you started in homeopathy.
I wrote a letter to the Faculty of Homeopathy when I finished my internship, and they just wrote such a warm welcome that I came and I did the 6-month course at the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital and met the most wonderful people there. And I just... suddenly it felt that this was my real medical education.
This was your passion.
I was very, very protective of that hospital. And if we can look at a bit of history of homeopathy, the man who really created homeopathy in this country was Frederick Foster Hervey Quinn. And he went as a doctor from a mysterious background. No one seems to know who his parents was, but he was a bit of an aristocrat.
Right.
And he went to study homeopathy under Hahnemann, we think, or at least Hahnemann's colleagues. And he brought it back in the 1840s. And what he did, although he didn't write anything about homeopathy, he built the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital. And where did he get the money from?
Yes.
He had benefactors. Lord Grosvenor, the man who would become the first Duke of Westminster, the Duchess of Cambridge, and there's a list of people you can see who gave money to this course. So this was a grassroots movement, and he built that hospital. And part of my fight, I got very politically involved. I challenged all those skeptics, any one of them, particularly Edzard Ernst. I challenged him to a, not quite a duel. I think I used the word.
Did you challenge him to a duel?
I think I used the word. I think I used the word, but it was a debate, and I said, I will challenge you on your home ground in Exeter University, and no one ever took me up on that, but I continued to fight, because what I saw happened to that hospital, which I so loved, I think it was stolen in broad daylight, actually, and I think he raised the money. So if we look at the history, in 1948, one of my heroes, two heroes of the 20th century politicians are Churchill and Nair and Bevan, who created the National Health Service. they were invited to be part of the National Health Service. And then in 1950, as the National Health Service became more centralized, what happened was that the homeopathic doctors got a bit nervous that they would make decisions from some central place, and they managed to get a bylaw that entitled the hospital to continue as long as patients wanted homeopathy and long as there were qualified medical doctors that were supplying it. And that promise was broken. And although it is said that it would have happened earlier, the loss of the hospital, had it not been for that bylaw. But eventually, this is what's happened. So now, with how they've relegated homeopathy to some small room in that massive hospital, which belongs to us as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
And what I'd want to say is that Quinn started a grassroots movement. There was no government or anyone helping him. He went to benefactors. And I see you doing the same thing, a new grassroots movement. You took me around after supper, and I'm very moved with what I saw there, because this looks like a grassroots movement again, grassroots.
We hope so.
Well, if any multimillionaires that watching this clip,
any multimillionaires,
every pound you donate to this cause will be used well. That's my feeling. So I think you're doing some wonderful work. It's very moving,
Brian.
actually.
Thank you. And I think for me, when I first visited the hospital myself, the first thing I noticed, you walk into this very modern new hospital, and then suddenly you turn to the right and there's a beautiful picture of Samuel Hahnemann. And I said to the receptionist, do you know who that is? And she said, yes, that's Samuel Hahnemann. We'll never take that down. And, and there were so many tributes to Peter Fisher, of course, there. And that was very sad to hear of how he died. And then, as you say, we've kind of been confined to the basement almost, with the pharmacy down in the basement, which are wonderful people there, wonderful. But do you think that will ever be again? Do you think we can reignite that?
Well, anything can happen, because that Quinn created this from nothing. There wasn't anybody helping him except himself and his friends. But he had friends in high places, and so do we. I mean, I think it is remarkable that King Charles III, he could have left it that we were referring to the patron of the homeopathy, the ex-Prince of Wales. He didn't. He said, as king, we're going to do this. Now, Quinn was supported by the Royal Consort Albert and by Queen Victoria, liked the idea of homeopathy. And she had friends in high places, and so do we. We do. Anything is possible.
Yes.
Anything is possible as long as there's someone like you that has that spirit to do it. So
determination.
I would say that may the spirit of Frederick Foster Herbie Quinn infuse you and let you do this. One can build the thing up again, even though the most dreadful, nasty people in the world, in my opinion, were able to inflict this with this damage. Right? Really awful people, I think. I don't understand why they did it or what point they were making in the name of scientism or whatever, but I found it despicable and I fought hard.
And again, you did. I was just about to say you were very passionate and you did fight very hard. And again, it's because of the fear of the unknown, isn't it? It's almost, we don't know what this is, so let's just bat it down and put it to bed. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes, it is.
I like the feel of this place.
Beautiful
I really
place.
do. I think it feels part of the community here.
And they were so enthusiastic about welcoming homeopathy, and they want it here.
You get a good name in this community. This community will speak to another community.
Exactly. Let's go. We're going to conquer the world.
One community at a time.
Exactly. Thank you, Brian. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. You were the former Director of Education and Women's Services at the Old London Homeopathic Hospital.
That's right.
For you, how do you think homeopathy has progressed? Do you think we have progressed?
I feel like I've been saying this for decades, actually, that everything goes around in circles. So you have your ups and you have your downs, and you have good phases and times when it's a little bit more challenging. Yeah. But the trouble is, you don't know how fast the wheel's going to turn, and you don't know how large the wheel is, and so how long it will take to turn around. Yeah. But from when homeopathy started being more challenged, which was really 1980s, 1990s, in the last wave of attacks on homeopathy, it was pretty grim for quite a long time. But the universe turns, everything turns.
Exactly.
Opinions turn, and they come back to where they were before.
Do you think, though, there's a definite shift? Because I certainly feel there's a definite shift in people's attitude towards all holistic treatments, actually, not just homeopathy.
I must say, when I was thinking about coming here today, I thought, Do you know, I think maybe this is the first time when I can actually honestly say I think this wheel has started to turn in the right direction.
That's round of applause right now.
I feel a sort of momentum that I think we can jump on and push that wheel round and make more people find out about homeopathy.
And why do you think that is? Do you think there's just a general shift in public's opinion of medicine? Are we just tired of popping pills and taking medication all the time? Do you think that plays a part?
I think it's got a lot to do with it, because I don't think people are actually searching for homeopathy. I think people are searching for a different way of thinking about their health, thinking about the sort of lives they want to live and how that impacts on the world. And you know, people are thinking in a different way, and they're looking for a different approach. And I think it's our job to let them know that homeopathy is their answer.
And of course, the Blackie Trust is a very old established trust, Margaret Blackie. So tell us about the Blackie Trust, because obviously we're very honoured to have our patron, His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester.
Yes.
And we know that all the royal family support homeopathy, use homeopathy. They've used it for centuries.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the Blackie Trust for those who don't know what it is.
So the charity is called the Blackie Foundation Trust, and it was founded in 1971 by a very august homeopathic physician, Dr. Marjorie Blackie, who worked at the Royal London Hospital for homeopathy when it was still the proper homeopathic hospital. And she was also the Queen's physician for a long time. And she founded the charity in 1971 because she felt passionate about educating more doctors in homeopathy and also increasing the research and the evidence base. And I think she was a bit frustrated that people weren't doing enough about that, and she wasn't a lady to sit around. So I think we'll just found another charity then, and we'll do it, you know. So it's really nice that that's still carrying on.
Absolutely.
So our charitable remit is still to support research and education, particularly of medical professionals.
I do feel there's a definite shift in people looking towards, as we say, other holistic treatments. But do you feel the young are now, particularly people who are perhaps in their 20s, early 20s, even teens, because we've changed our attitude. My mum's generation, for example, and the doctor told us to take this pill at 6 o'clock every night on a Thursday evening. She would take that pill at 6 o'clock every night on this particular Thursday evening. But now we're questioning, why should we take that pill? Do you feel though that the younger generation are definitely questioning the doctors, if you like?
I think young people are questioning everything, which is just as well, isn't it, when you see what's going on in the world. But I think that certainly includes how they want to live their lives, what they want to eat, and the effect of what they do on the whole planet and the whole universe, really. And I think looking after their own health in a more natural way, in a more holistic way, is part of that movement. So again, we've just got to let them know that homeopathy is their answer.
Absolutely. You know? And I know education is really important to you. What do you feel we could do to enhance the education of homeopathy?
I'm particularly passionate about educating health professionals because they're in such a position of, privilege really, because they see all these patients who come and on the whole trust them.
Yes.
They can do such a lot to spread the word if we can only spread the word to them, I think. And one wonderful thing that Marjorie Blackie used to do was to run what she called the fork suppers. And she was a formidable lady, and she used to write handwritten invitations to her fork suppers. She'd more or less deliver them personally and demand that they came and have a nice supper and had a little chat about homeopathy. And people dutifully came. She packed rooms with, doctors she'd invited to come and learn about homeopathy. And many of them went on to study homeopathy. We really want to start the Blackie Foundation running fork suppers again, because I actually think that now's the time, there's an awful lot of disillusioned health professionals.
Yes,
and there are all these youngsters and patients wanting to look at their health and their lives in a different way, or possibly not satisfied with the reception and the help that they've got. and we're really keen to start running the fork suppers and sign them all up for the faculty courses before they're allowed to leave. I think I might turn into a dragon myself, you know.
But you see, that's what's needed, though, isn't it? I think certainly from my own personal experience, once you learn about homeopathy, I'm continually learning because I'm not a homeopath, so I'm continually learning more and more. And the more I learn, the more I'm intrigued by it and want to learn more. There's something about homeopathy that actually does that to you. And even friends who are complete skeptics, so I've said, look, you've got to try it. And they sort of go, I don't think so. And I said, just try it and see. And even they have to admit that actually they feel okay about it. What is this? And then, but we've got to almost persuade those minds that are dead set against it to actually just take a chance. Let's have a look at it, try it and see what happens.
I have to say that homeopathy is like lifelong learning for all of us. You know, people think we know everything because we are homeopathic doctors. Well, of course, you never know everything, do you? And the things you're always learning in homeopathy are so fantastically interesting. Because you learn about people and their stories, you learn about where the remedies come from, you learn about philosophy behind it, and you meet the most fantastic people. So you're always learning and having fun. And
I've learned as well, you'll go to a homeopath with perhaps one condition and invariably end up treating other conditions as well, which may be the root cause of the one condition that they've actually come to you for.
Absolutely.
So that's fascinating. Well, lovely to talk to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
So much. Really lovely to
talk
to you. Thank you. Peter is a retired vet, but you're also an author, you're a teacher, you do so much, and also a trustee of our board, Pete, so lovely to see you. You started in homeopathy when? When was it? When was the first time you sort of thought about homeopathy yourself?
1984.
Oh, he knows the year. Fantastic, I would have remembered,
Well, I remember it because I was in Australia, actually. I spent a few years in Australia.
That's right, you did,
And I was getting very disillusioned with treating dogs with skin problems. And I was in the tropics, so we used to get these awful itchy dogs every year, and all we had was steroids, one of which was my own dog as well. And I just thought there must be something different, something else we could do. And I left the practice there, came back to England looking for something different, and lo and behold, I'd been back about 3 weeks and there was an advert in the Veterinary Record from Chris Day, who was having a one-day introduction to homeopathy in Glastonbury, of course. So I went to the course and listened to Chris and bought his book and read it from cover to cover and thought, I need to have a go at this.
And you've done so much since then, Peter. You know, you've written a book.
The first one was with John Saxton. We had this course running at the Homeopathic Professionals Teaching Group. But there wasn't a textbook for it. And the three veterinary tutors was Chris Day, who sadly is no longer with us, and John Saxton and myself. As with all things with John, we had many discussions over bars and in pubs and things. We just suddenly had this idea, we need a textbook. So we wrote the textbook. 10 years after that, I suddenly realised that actually what I was practising and what I was doing in life had moved on from the textbook. The textbook is very basic. And so I wrote my own book called Insights into Veterinary Homeopathy, snappy little title, which is now in its second edition and now has the rather easier title of Homeopathy for Animals. And I've just finished a pocket book for Saltire, which is a little book for owners, basically, to help them treat their own animals.
We are looking for different ways, aren't we, to treat our pets. We don't want to... Veterinary bills, of course, is one thing.
Absolutely.
They're escalating through the roof. And there's a lot more advertisements now for whole foods, fresh foods for the dog. And that all kind of leads in, isn't it, to this kind of holistic approach to taking care of your animals. Have you seen that yourself?
Absolutely. And I've got one or two very good friends who are founders of the Raw Foods Veterinary Society. And that fits in with homeopathy so much.
It does.
And there are some wonderful companies producing food. You don't have to do it yourself. So homeopathic vets are recommending raw foods, and people who are interested in raw food coming across homeopathy.
What about the young vets that are coming into the veterinary world as a vocation. Are you finding that they're interested in more sort of a holistic approach?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Good news.
There aren't many of them.
Yes.
But
what is that?
The Royal College has tried very hard to stamp us out, and we've got our own little anti-groups who would really like to see us disappear completely, and have tried very hard to do so. 20 years ago, nobody had heard of it. Everybody knows about homeopathy now. There is a whole generation there that thinks about things. They think for themselves, and they hear about homeopathy, and they actually go and look and find out about it.
And as far as a course is concerned, when you became a vet, how much more education, learning did you have to become a homeopathic vet?
The faculty course for doctors opened up to vets in the mid-80s.
Yeah.
So I did the course, the medical course, and then on a Saturday morning we would have a veterinary morning, which actually stretched out to a veterinary day. But then almost as soon as I was qualified, the HPTG had started up, and Chris Day, who was in charge of the course at the faculty, realised that was the place to be. So that was when I started teaching, and it went on from there. We took that course around the world, actually.
Fantastic. And what do you think we can do to raise awareness for vets about homeopathy? What can we do, Peter?
I think, first of all, we can survive.
Yes.
And we have done. People are still practising homeopathy. The BAHVS, British Association for Homeopathic Vets, have produced a pamphlet, a little booklet on alternative therapies, one of which is one chapter about homeopathy, of course. And they've managed to get that into all the veterinary schools.
That's excellent.
So I think that's great.
But we can keep trying.
We can.
Well, thank you, Peter.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for talking to us. Thank you. You are an integrative dentist specialising in homeopathy. You're also the chair of the BHDA, and you're also the lead clinician in something else, and I can't remember what you told me.
I'm the education lead for homeopathy,
that's it.
And that's at the National Centre for Integrative Medicine in Bristol.
So you're a very busy lady. How did you get into homeopathy? Obviously, you were a dentist.
That's right.
And then what made you decide to become a homeopathic dentist?
I started my career in the army as a dentist.
Oh, wow.
One of my patients had been using homeopathy for a problem with a wisdom tooth. I wasn't convinced it had actually done anything because he still had a swollen face, but he refused to take the antibiotics, but he was out of pain. So and he was happy, so it's fine. I thought, well, actually, I'm planning on leaving the army because I'd done my time that I'd planned to do anyway. And they pay for these rehabilitation courses for you to, get back into
good old army, by the sounds of it. Yes.
It was very generous of them, and they're very supportive. Yeah. And I thought, well, what course can I do that will help my patients? And I thought, well, my mum uses homeopathy, which probably means that most of my patients that I'm going to take on will be using homeopathy. And so I started a course at Bristol, which of course I now teach, and I started using homeopathy straight away, and found that I was getting amazing results. And it's like, wow, this stuff really, really works.
And what sort of things were you treating? Because we were talking before, because it's rather unique, actually, your situation, because people come to you when they're actually well.
Yes,
people will come to a homeopath when they're unwell.
Yeah.
But for you, it's general routine. We go into the dentist.
And most of what I do is dentistry. It wouldn't look out of place in any dental practice in the country. People come to me because I'm just open to the health choices that they're making. So lots of my new patients come to me because I offer homeopathy, which is fantastic. And I'm snowed under with new patients because there's just so few of us
I was going to ask you, how many members do you have in the association?
It's sadly only about 30 to 40, and sadly we are literally dying off. And
we have to change that.
We have to change that. We do. It's great because we've actually started getting a new influx of new dentists interested.
Is it? How do they find out about you, though, in homeopathy, in your dentistry world?
Maybe this is my fault as a chairman of the BHDA, is that maybe I'm not that great at promoting homeopathy, but I'll mention it when I can, but I'm just because it's, the skeptics can be quite vociferous about it.
Well, we're going to start a little thing, aren't we?
Yes,
so we're going to start a little plan. So we're going to, produce some leaflets that Samantha can actually give to your patients and put in your surgery and distribute.
I think it needs to be patient-led because the patients want it. They want a more, whole person approach to all of their dental care or all of their health care. And I think some dentists would actually be open to it if they understood what it was.
I think, again, it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, where we've got to create the need.
Yes.
So if we have patient success stories, but they will go on and say, this is fantastic, this has really worked for me. So patients will then demand to have a homeopathic dentist.
And
so
if they've got a leaflet or something that they can direct the dentist, they can give to the dentist, is like, this is what I'm choosing to use. Why don't you find more out about it?
It's one of the sort of things that you use for anxiety, because lots of people don't like the dentist. I'm one of those themselves. But is it anxiety? Is it, kind of they just get so stressed about coming to you?
It's really common. I mean, people don't like coming to it, even though they come when they're well. So, I mean, if I've got somebody in the dental practice that is suddenly, they've got that adrenaline, the shaking, then aconite is invaluable. But actually, there's a few different remedies, but one of the most useful, I think, is gelsemium. And they can take that before they come, a few doses over the, couple of days, and they come in so much calmer.
What about for children as well? Obviously it's safe to use for children, but
absolutely.
Are you finding that mums and dads are going to, let their child have some kind of homeopathic treatment?
They're usually using it already because, I mean, certainly when I had my children, is that all of the mums in the mums group, they were downing those teething powders.
Yes.
And it's like, it's homeopathy, it's chamomile. And they're going, what? And it's like, you're using homeopathy. And the teething powder, they're all familiar with it. I mean, they sell it in my local supermarket. It's that popular, and all the mums were using it.
The awareness is there. Is it because of the actual dentist board? Are they anti-homeopathy, or are they open now to a more integrative healthcare?
They're not really aware of it. I think in dentistry, as opposed to maybe other professions, they're not actually overtly anti it, but maybe that's because we don't promote it.
That might change.
At dental school, that they weren't closed against it. I mean, our clinical dean used hypnosis, so he, at Bristol, we were always quite open to complementary and alternative therapies alongside the dentistry anyway. He didn't really talk about homeopathy. I wasn't aware of it, but they weren't closed against it, which is great. I think it suffers from the same thing that medicine does, is that, we're all scientists, and so, you're diluting it, so it shouldn't work. As a scientific community, they're closed to the research, even though the research is out there. So there is a lot of scepticism and probably anti it. But actually, when you start talking to people, you find that they are using it. And especially, parents that have had children, like I said, they use the teething powders. And then when you say, well, it's homeopathy. And so many people use arnica.
That's right.
And so if you say,
and don't even realise it's homeopathic.
And they don't even realise it's homeopathic. And they're all using it. So it's out there, and they might just not be aware.
It's almost like it's out there, but they haven't got used to the word.
Yes.
And it is a convoluted word. And we're going to do a marketing campaign about that, because it is a very difficult word to say, and almost to understand if you're brand new to homeopathy. What does that mean to anybody? So how do you think we could perhaps change that? Change the fact that the actual word itself, homeopathy, is a little bit of a mouthful, but how could we perhaps bring that to the average person and make them see, this is homeopathy, but this is arnica, this is all these other treatments that you do?
I think maybe just explain to them just like you said, this is homeopathy, you've probably heard of arnica. I mean, that's usually how I introduce it to patients that maybe aren't aware of it. When you start having that conversation, and like you said, the beauty of dentistry is that people come to us when we're well. It's almost unique in the medical profession that, we see people regularly to maintain them. We're not just seeing them when they've got toothache. So they trust us. They know us really well. These are patients that I've seen for 17 years, every 6 to 12 months. So they know me, and we talk about grandchildren and what they do in their jobs, and there's no holes barred. We know everything about their lives. So we have this rapport and this trust, and all dentists have this with their regular patients.
That's very true.
So if I'm telling them that, this is what I use personally, this is what I use in my professional life, I think it's going to help you, is that they've already got that trust, so they're just going to naturally be open to it.
Yeah. You are legally allowed to use homeopathic treatments?
As long as I'm only treating something that I was treated as a dentist. Which you think might be restricted, but actually I'm treating a whole person, and the mouth is a reflection of the rest of the body. So we recognise that dental problems are linked to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, dementia, low birth weight babies, pregnancy problems. So actually what I can treat as a dentist is vast, and as long as I'm only treating them as I was as a dentist, is that is covered under my indemnity.
Then you can do it.
So I can do
Excellent. Well, go forth. Thank you so much, Samantha. Bless you. Thank you. Very interesting.
I'd like to thank all my guests, and I'd like to thank again Caroline Ford, for her contribution to this wonderful clinic that I think is going to be hugely successful. And this is just one of hopefully many more. And with the new NDD clinic starting on the 1st of May, this is also hopefully going to say to London, we're back. And that's what we need to do.